Hello, I'm Jason Ball, and this is Friends with Friends, the podcast where we discuss all 236 episodes of the TV show Friends, plus a couple of bonus episodes, and this is one of our bonus episodes. First, let's say hi to Jackie and Vanessa.
Hi, I'm Jackie, and I'm the biggest Friends fan, and I'm so excited for today's episode.
Yes, I'm Vanessa Martinez. I'm the newbie in the group, and I am also excited.
So this is a bonus episode with our new friend, Lauren Tom, who played Julie Ross's
Woo!
first girlfriend. Welcome, Lauren.
Oh, thank you. My Willie wanted to make an appearance too. Hi.
Hi,
Oh, nice to be with you guys this morning.
Nice
So
to
good
be
to
with
see
you
you.
too. First, I just want to say a special little thanks. Lauren, I don't know if you guys know, also supports Project Angel Food, which I'm a big supporter of too, and was part of our telethon. So I really wanted to thank you for your ongoing support of that. And how did you get involved in the organization?
Oh gosh, back when I was in the 90s, when they were delivering meals for folks that had AIDS, I was actually delivering meals with my friend once a week for 4 years, every Sunday.
Wow.
And the guy that helped produce Joylet Club and was gay and had some friends that were ill, and so he kind of looped me into it, and we just found so much joy and really kind of looked forward to it each week to see the same clients. Of course, it had a lot of heartbreak too because sometimes they wouldn't make it. That was like really early on, but it just felt like such important work, and you could really feel like firsthand the kind of impact that you can have on someone else just from having a friendly face deliver a meal that was actually tailored to you, that for all of your needs. It really is, food is love.
Yeah.
I think all of us can relate to that. But yeah, and so then I took a break and had kids, and and kind of looped back around into it when I got on social media and realized that I could help in that way. And Vesna is a huge. She's part of Project Angel Food, sorry, and she's a huge part of the Supernatural family, that fandom.
Right.
And I was on that show, and so she kind of looped me into, kind of reconnected me, and then my kids ended up volunteering there for their high school community service projects. And so I started to chop vegetables there, and actually I thought it was Vesna that invited me into the telethon, but then she actually said, no, it was actually, you have a bit of a fan at KTLA. And I was like, who's that? His name is Jason Ball, and he really likes Friends and Joylet Club. So I was like, you're kidding. So yeah, and so then she said, and you mentioned this, because somehow that slipped through the cracks. I think the first time that you tried to reach out to me, I didn't get the message. And so
Okay.
anyway, it was a really nice way to kind of come full circle, and here we are.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Let's get into it. What was it like being, part of that? Because that you started at the very end of season one, the beginning of season two. So what was it like back in those days to be in that show and kind of be Rachel's arch nemesis? Even though you were very, Julie's a very sweet character, and everyone loved her.
Uh, well, I have lots of conflicting feelings, but the main one was just pure joy. And I felt like it was such a blessing to be asked to be on that show right at that critical time when it was just taking off, too. Right at the end of season one is when people started to really get into it. And honest to God, this is a true story. So the night before, one night, let's just say, I was watching Friends, and David Schwimmer is from Chicago, and so am I. And so I thought he was really cute, and I was single then, and I thought I literally said out loud, "Oh my gosh, it'd be so great to work with him someday." Right? I said that out loud. And then the next day, I'm in the morning, I'm on the treadmill, like eating a donut at the same time, because it's like calories in, calories out.
Right?
And the phone rings, and I picked it up, and I'm still on the treadmill, and it was my agent, and she said, "How would you feel about having an arc on the show Friends?" And I went, whoa,
What?
wait, give me a second. Yes. Like I almost fell off the treadmill because I couldn't believe what she was saying. And so I was super excited. And apparently, one of the directors from Friends, Gail Mancuso, had seen Joy Luck Club, and she knew that they were looking for someone who just kind of their essence was someone who's a nice person, right?
Mhm.
Because that was the whole joke, that no matter how nice a person Julie was, Rachel was going to think she was a bitch, no matter what.
Right? Well, and that's the thing too. It's like Rachel, the storyline. Everybody wants them to get together, but then you come in, and it kind of prolongs that. So, I mean, knowing that storyline, how did that make you feel?
Well, I kind of got the lay of the land. I knew what the whole arc was from the beginning, and that I was only going to be there for 6 or 7 episodes. But even so, like at the end, when like it doesn't work out, I felt like I was being broken up with, like that my family was kicking me out of the house to go to college or something. Shh, Willie, quiet.
Willie wants to be on the show
I'm
too.
so sorry. He gets anxious, COVID. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, knowing that arc. It really didn't quite help me emotionally when it was time to leave, because the other, so mostly Joy. But the other difficult part was that the fans were so invested in Rachel and Ross getting together that we taped the show live, right? And so the audience actually booed me
Oh.
when I was when I came out.
No
And
way.
yeah, and it was just like, as any actor will tell you, it's not really why we go into this, to be booed. um,
That's so awful.
and so I knew like what it was about, but still it was like really hard because live, taping a show live is really wonderful because it feels very much like theater, which is the way that I started. And the air is really alive, and you get that immediate feedback, and then the writers can tell right away if a joke isn't working, and then they literally will come on the floor and say, all right, say this instead. So you have to be kind of like quick on your feet. And so it was really wonderful to have that really electric energy alive like that. But they really wanted Rachel and Ross to get together. So like I was just sunk in that way. I mean, I wanted Rachel and Ross to get together.
But I read that they were actually worried that the audience would pull more for Julie and Ross because you were so good at it and such a great role and such a nice and such a nice person too.
Oh, you're so sweet. I don't know if that has any truth in it, but but I'll take it anyway.
Right.
And yeah, no, it was just such a blessing to be on that show. I was really nervous when I first joined. Of course, it was like my first day of school, and it happened to be my birthday, my very first day of rehearsal. And so Courtney Cox, God bless her, she just was so friendly and reached out in such a way that she suggested the cast taking me to lunch during our lunch break, and they have like a private room in the cafeteria there on the lot, where it had like white tablecloths. It was like a sit down thing with these giant menus and everything. And the whole cast came, and they literally, it felt like, I mean, they were arm in arm walking down the street on the lot. It's like you couldn't make that up. Like, I feel like because the show was just like really taking off like a skyrocket, I think sometimes, a wonderful thing can feel like a crisis as much as a bad thing can feel like that. And so like when you win the lottery, it's like almost too much to take. And so I feel like they really bonded together and became those best friends, like that it became real, because they're like, oh my God, we're on this ride together, here we go, and so that's what it felt like. But the beautiful thing is, and this is all something I remembered throughout my career, is that they really welcomed their guest cast it's a wonderful way, because it can be so insular when you're that tight with your group. And the way that they made me feel included, I really have a lot of gratitude for. And I remembered that going forward when I was a regular, and then trying to welcome. Oh my God, really? This is, the land of COVID. It's like, what are we gonna do?
Right. So
But
you were the first kind of relationship, long term story arc with a member who wasn't one of the core friends, but was kind of brought it in, and you were also the first non white person actor on the show too. So how was that? Was it, it was important to have that representation. The show was criticized for not having more representation in there. So you were the groundbreaker in that role too.
yeah, that's a great question because I really feel like one of my greatest joys just being an actor and feeling like I'm contributing something back to my community is having young Asian women stop me on the street and say, that's the first time I've ever seen myself on screen like that in that way. Because Joy Luck Club had just come out as well. So the fact that we were changing that landscape was really important. Of course, I had nothing to do with it. I just happened to be cast in it. So I was lucky in that sense. But I felt so honored to be a part of someone else's, another human being's feeling that they're included, like that they're part of, that they can see themselves reflected on screen. It's kind of very validating, and I didn't have that growing up. And hats off to the producers too for acknowledging now that they could have had more people of color, because I think like Aisha Taylor and me and myself, I don't know if there were too many others besides us two, right? But the whole conversation is happening now. It's all out there, and I think that the Asian community especially has to take their hat off to the Black community because um, I feel like they have really paved the way for the rest of the people of color because they've been so vocal and so persistent. And, in the Asian culture, we're raised to be really polite and quiet and not to speak up. So it's even harder. We're like the silent minority, And so I just really appreciate that they kind of got in there and we can just like ride in the wake a little bit of also needing to fight for sure. But it's slowly getting better. And I think that all these conversations that are happening right now need to be happening. And so I'm very supportive of it. And as well.
And one thing, I noticed too with Joy Luck Club, you played, one sort of character, but then when you started in Friends, you played a different character, more of a not risque, but more of, there was more things that we've talked about that weren't talked about that were being tested on Friends. Was there any hesitation, in your background or given like your family or if your parents saw or anything like that, that particular part where Ross and Julie were going to go into the apartment and, get together.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious because in Asian culture, at least in a traditional Asian culture, the way that I was raised, education is the most important. So, you're supposed to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, not an actress. Actress was like right next to, can I say this?
Yes.
Prostitute.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that.
and so, like for me to really, my father basically gave me 1 year to prove myself, to see it, if I had enough talent to get anywhere, and if not, I was supposed to quit the business. This was the deal we made, and I was only 17 also, and become a dental hygienist.
Well, thank goodness you didn't do that.
And marry a nice dentist.
But in that year, you got cast in a chorus line as Connie.
Oh my gosh, you've done your homework, Jason.
Chorus Line is my favorite musical of all time. So I think it's amazing that you were in the national tour and then you were on Broadway as Connie. What was that like?
Are you sure you're not related to my mom? Because you're like my best fan ever. Like, you knew I was in Chorus Line, and I just can't get over it. But that was like freaking also one of these drop-ins from the universe of a little gift in my lap. I mean, I was super, super shy and I couldn't really act or sing, but I could really dance well because I spent all of my time at the dance studio because I was so shy. But that was a great way for me to express myself artistically because I didn't have to talk. And so a chorus line came through town and through Chicago, and my friends took me there because I was really young and I didn't naive and I didn't really know what I was doing. But they hired me, and then they gave me some acting lessons and some voice coaching on the road. And then I needed to turn 18, and then I made my debut on the road, and then I came back to New York and did it for a couple of years. So the sad thing, life is like this sometimes. The greatest thing that happened to me and the worst thing that happened to me happened at the very exact moment where I got Chorus Line. I was about to make my debut on Broadway. My dad was about to fly to Manhattan to see my opening night, and he died.
Oh my
Can you
goodness.
believe that?
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
We didn't get to see you.
I'm sure he was very proud of you, though.
Yes.
I just got chills.
Oh,
I feel like I've really been working hard to try to make him proud of me, especially because he was gone, you know. But that was really something. You can't make this stuff up sometimes. It's just the way life rolls, and I feel like this time right now is such a it has also some wonderful moments and some really horrible, like the most difficult time that we could be going through. So I'm really glad that we're doing this kind of thing right now in this moment to try to lift people up for half an hour to see if we can get a few smiles and laughs together because it is so difficult. Um, but hey, we're part of this human. It sounds so cliche, but we really are all in it together, and there's something really beautiful about that, and it's like asking us to dig deep and make changes that I feel like individually each one of us are required to make it in some bizarrely personal way. I just I feel a lot of gratitude too right now. I'm sorry, this is sort of rambly.
No, that's
No,
great.
no,
it's good. Yeah.
So in preparation for this, we all rewatched Joy Luck Club to have a conversation with you
You're
about it, and we were
kidding.
just so in love with Lena and her mom's story, and so it was so sad but so sweet at the same time. And the advice that her mother gives Lena in that crazy house, that get away from this slanted house. What was that like working with all those amazing Asian women in this role? That was probably one of the few movies that has complete or almost complete Asian cast.
Yeah, it was really an amazing experience, and Amy Tan was there with us every day, who wrote the book, and it felt a little bit daunting because we knew that the book had sold millions of copies, and so that people were really wanting this to be good, and I'm still really close to all four of the daughters. That not so much the moms, just because they're not on social media as much and technology, but they've become really close friends, and we have gotten through so much together, and we're actually trying to cook up something together. But
Oh,
I won't say
oh.
yet because we're just on our own.
Yay!
I know. It'll be really fun if we can pull it off, and yeah, it just was. I remember Wayne Wang talking about like asking us which character we related to the most, and we all had read the book, and so I talked about this a little in that panel you saw, Jason. But just that I really related to Lena, and then I happened to have the good fortune of sort of looking like France Nguyen, which is like a huge compliment. Not really, but we're both really tiny, and we have small faces and tiny features. I think that's why, like, he was trying to match everybody up with people who looked like they could actually be mother and daughter in real life. And so, first he wanted to find some actors that were good enough, but then also that would look like one another. And so, and Ron Bass, the screenwriter, was there. Like, I just felt so much support. And, Wayne Wang had all of these. He's very visual, really, really visual. So I don't know if you noticed, but each character like had their own um, season. So spring, summer, fall, winter, and the color scheme and everything. And he was so, because film is so like 95% visual and then 5% auditory, whereas theater is the other way around, where it's all about the words and less about what you look like.
Mhm.
So, because it was so visual, literally, I had to get used to, like he would say, okay, Lauren, tilt your head a little to the right. Okay, now chin down. Okay. And then eyes up. Okay, and say the line. And I was like, oh my God. Because I came from theater, where everything is like a little bigger than it needs to be. And like I've been always had to be toned down a little bit in because the camera's always so close.
Mhm.
So that was like a real lesson for me in just pulling everything in and
Mhm.
just trusting yourself and not being too rubber faced.
It was so beautiful. I cried multiple times rewatching. It's just like I cried the first time, cried the second time. It was just a beautiful, beautiful movie,
Oh
and
gosh,
it's I hold
thank
it dear to
you.
my heart. It's
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
beautiful.
so great to hear.
And there was I watched it with my mom, and I didn't really resonate with me only because I wasn't married yet. But now that I'm married, and definitely seeing Lena's story, it was kind of like, okay, I kind of get, Lena. I kind of understand her
Oh,
and kind of like what she's going through.
I'm still working on it.
Marriages work every single day.
Well, and also just feeling like finding your voice. I don't know how
Exactly.
that's been for you, but for me, it's been really an uphill battle, just because
Yeah.
of my whole training. The way I came in, super sensitive, but then also the training on top of it was like, don't speak up, just go along with the flow and don't make any waves. And so even this whole Black Lives Matter and all the things that are happening right now, it's required a lot of courage from me to really stand somewhere and speak out, because I feel like, if you're in the public eye, it's really hard. I just wish we could all dial the judgment down, because I feel like sometimes, you're not doing it the right way, you're doing it the wrong way, you're not doing enough, you're doing too much, and everyone has an opinion on what you're doing, and you're trying to just be a human being like everyone else, and support in the way that you can, that feels the most comfortable, and also to kind of it reflects where you are in your evolvement, and also like what's really important to you. Like I also fundraise for another organization called Homeboy Industries, which I cannot stop fundraising for, because I am pulled, I am compelled, and just like, Project Angel Food now too, to really kind of put my energy out there for this cause. And I feel like we don't all have the same cause. And so can we please just like support one another, saying, that's awesome that you're doing that. Like, keep your foot on the gas pedal. We need that. Go. Instead of like, you're bad for not caring, for not doing this enough or that enough. And, we're all so different.
Yeah.
And anyway,
That's really great advice. I mean, and it's true. Just we should all be trying to support people, each other, and build each other up instead of trying to tear each other down. And it's sad that it's come to that. But how, for people who don't know, explain what Homeboys does and how did you get involved in it?
okay, so Homeboy Industries is like the largest gang intervention organization in the world. And what they do is they take people who have been formerly incarcerated, and they go through an 18-month training program, and they get all kinds of skills. They get their tattoos removed, they get anger management, they have substance abuse support, they can get their GED, and basically they end up leaving with their first job, which is so important to one's self-esteem and giving back to the community. And it was founded by Father Greg Boyle, who's this kick-ass, hilarious, amazing Jesuit priest. And he, basically was giving mass in all like 25 different prisons and rotating them every weekend, and then basically handing out his card and saying, when you're ready, give me a call, because that's of course very key to the success of their model, is that the people are ready, but the way in which they're doing it with such deep love, and not like punishing the crap out of people. They're having a 70% success rate and only 30%
Wow.
recidivism rate. And the government has those numbers exactly reversed. So they have 70% going back to jail. It doesn't work when you just punish the crap out of someone without giving them the skills and the support that they need to really like transform on a very deep level. So there's so much. It's almost miraculous and joyous to just witness the transformations that go on there, and they have like a cafe that you can visit. It's their headquarters. Well, not right now, but downtown near Chinatown. That is where their headquarters is, and they have Homegirl Cafe. So they have a garden and they grow a lot of their own food, and you can actually have a wonderful meal there. And they're in LAX now too. They have a little stall where they sell their sandwiches, and they're in Ralph's, and they have all these different businesses that support. It's only like 35% of what keeps them going, but they do silk screening for T-shirts if you have like a company that needs that made. They do solar panel. They have the bakery. So all of the homies start working in the bakery. Well, actually, they start in janitorial, and then they move to the bakery. But anyway, I could go on and on, but it's really a wonderful, wonderful organization to support.
And it's really what, in my opinion, it's what the prisons should have been doing. Because once you serve your time and you get out of prison, you have the stigma of being an ex-con, so it's harder to get jobs. You have no job skills because you spent the last whatever amount of years behind bars. So it's hard to start your life over again. So what they're doing is really what you would think that the prisons would be doing to try to get people out and employed and productive members of society. So thank you for doing that. What made you get involved with that group?
Oh, so I was just part of a book club with 9 other moms. And one of the moms chose Tattoos on the Heart, which is Father Boyle's first book. If you're looking for something to read, it's actually my favorite kind of entertainment because it'll make you laugh and or cry, sometimes both at the same time, on every single page. Because the stories are heartbreaking, but he is so funny. Father Boyle is so funny that he keeps bringing you in, and then you can go deeper with him, and then he'll make you laugh again, and then you can go deeper with him. So it's a beautiful book. And so then we invited him to speak at my son's school. And so then I started to gradually just get to know them. So my little kids, when my kids were little, we've been doing their 5K, every year for the past like 11 years. And so they started when they were really little as the fundraiser. And then I started to just get more and more into it as we go. And I want to make one more point, just dovetailing off of you, Jason, that, this is a really good distinction that it's not even about giving these folks a second chance at life. It's really kind of giving them a first chance because when you're born into the gang life, it's generational and you cannot get out of it until somebody stops it once and for all within that family. And so that's why it's so important to even, anyway, I really believe in it. And then afterwards we can talk, Jason.
What's the name of the book again? Father Boyle's book?
It's called Tattoos on the Heart.
Tattoos on the Heart. Okay, we'll check that out.
And then there's another one too called Barking to the Choir. Okay. That's a sequel. And then he's writing his third one now.
Yes, he's an amazing person. So that's amazing work that you're doing there too. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, it's so my joy and pleasure. Like I had so much fun on that telethon, and I have to really take my hats off to everyone who was involved in putting that was phenomenally well run. I mean, like you guys are pros. You make everybody else look like amateurs. I don't know. It was such a success too, right?
How are you and your family doing with COVID-19 and staying at home?
Well, I always like to joke that, because I'm such an introvert, that my life has changed about 5%. But that's not really true. But one of the great things is to have my boys home. They're 16 and 19. And so I'm actually kind of a really early empty nester because my younger one is a hockey goalie and he went to play hockey at a boarding school in Connecticut. So he actually left before my older one. And it just was devastating to be an empty nester, just so you know. The guys are parents out there. It's not fun. And then, but so having said that, that's one of the perks where they're home and we're having these long ass dinners, like 3 hours just like talking and
Aw.
getting to know one another. It's really kind of a beautiful time, like where it's like much more connecting.
Have they watched Joy Luck Club or Friends?
You know what? They have gotten a lot of street cred because of Friends and Futurama too. And then 2 years ago, the Academy threw the Joy Luck Club a gigantic party to honor everybody. So everyone came, like Amy and Wayne and like Oliver Stone was there, and all of our producers, the cast, and then it was super fancy. We all got dressed up in like tuxes, and they had food, and then they had the screening at the Academy of the Film, which my kids got to see because it was the first time they'd ever seen it. And then we had a panel afterwards. And then there was a moderator and people could ask questions. It was such a beautiful gift that they gave us. And then I spent the entire time watching my kids watch the movie, which was really fun for me because I'd forgotten how much humor there is in it. And that it kind of held up, even though it's so old. And gosh, I really appreciate that you guys all looked at it again before this little interview. I mean, that's so sweet of you, and it shows what professionals you are too. But yeah, so they've seen it and they've seen Friends, and like I said, at school they kind of get they get some nice comments that their mom was a part of this.
Well, that's cool. So I saw you did a recent book club with the other actresses that played the daughters and Amy Tan, who I'm a huge fan of. I think she's amazing. And when I rewatched it, I noticed for the first time that she's in the opening scene. You see her; she's one of the party guests. And I didn't realize that.
Oh my God, I forgot that. Right. Really? Yeah, no, that was really neat. And then there was someone else. Oh, I've had dogs my whole life, and there's a shot in the movie where the camera was on my back, so you couldn't see, but my dog was in my lap.
That's funny.
No, it was really such a special experience.
And you guys all talked about when you went to the premiere and you brought your moms and your grandmothers and things, and you had a fun story about it. Was your grandmother, right?
Yeah, it was my grandma. My grandma is like this. She was this 4'10", like kick-ass, tiny little tank, and she literally was talking at the screen through the entire movie. And she was like, "Why everybody crying? Like, hey, fuck up. It's not so bad. I seen worse." And so when we were at the premiere, the ushers were standing there with little packets of Kleenex to give people, like as if to say, "This is going to be a tearjerker. You're going to need this." And so my grandmother like snapped at the guy saying, "Why do you think I need that? You think I'm a crybaby?" He goes, No. And I said, "Grandma, just take it. It's free." She goes, "Oh," and then she just like took it and put it in her purse. And then she's like in the middle of in the screening, there's a Chinese little snack treat called moi, and it's like a dried, sour yet sweet prune thing with a giant pit in the middle of it, and they're each individually wrapped in cellophane. So she decided that she was going to have that snack in the middle of the movie. She like had these little plastic grocery bags that were very thin, like the kind in the produce section, that she would take from the grocery store, save, and keep some of them in her wallet, right? So she pulls out one of these from her wallet, she shakes it open, then she opens the moi, she puts it in her mouth, and then you can hear her clacking the pit back and forth. And I was like this, "Okay, I'm leaving now." I literally like sank down in my seat because I was like, "Grandma, shh, shh." It was just like with the dog, like shh. And so that was like the whole experience. But God love her, it was really cool to have her there, and my mom too. I mean,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That was funny. And then I had also read that the movie The Joy Luck Club was also kind of similar to the game of Mahjong. Like the directors kind of, I guess, made the movie kind of resembling the game. Is that true?
gosh, you know what? I don't know that aspect of it, but I imagine that that would be true just because mahjong was such an important part of Amy's life and the way in that she kind of threaded the stories together by going back to that mahjong game. My grandmother used to play mahjong too. I grew up like with images of her playing at that table constantly. I never did though myself, but so I'm not really aware of that aspect of it. But it wouldn't surprise me because there were so many elements that were deeply thought out. Like I was telling you with the color schemes and everything, and it meant a lot to the people that were working on it.
You've also had a huge voiceover acting career. You're in King of the Hill, Futurama, Superman. What's that like? It's. I'm sure it's fun acting, but it's got to be very different than you know,
Yeah,
being
this
on.
is like such an interesting topic. It's again like a very complicated, tricky topic too that you're bringing up just because, as a person of color and I've been in the voiceover world for since the 90s, um, it's been such a blessing for me as a person of color to play any part that would be put in front of me if I could pull it off. So I've done 98-year-old Jewish women, I've done 5-year-old black boy, I've done like uh, anything, and it was so freeing because I've been a person who's you know been constrained a lot with the kinds of parts I could go up for. So in the voiceover world, I just never experienced any of that. If the people who were creating it felt like they bought it, then let's go. But now it's so hard because everything is so politically correct, and I really do understand you
Mhm.
know uh, that whole movement that like you don't want to be taking away job opportunities from the people who should be playing those parts. I get it, but then again, like my friend Phil Lamar, who is black and he is plays Samurai Jack, which is a Japanese character, has gotten so much flack. And I'm like, would you please stop stepping on my friend? Because, like, that was a huge gift that he got that job. It's hard enough as, a person of color to get a job. So please don't come down so hard on him for taking that job. Like, I felt like he was the best person for that role. It's like, don't blame him. If you're gonna if blame the person that maybe chose like the creators, they get to choose what they're hearing if it sounds right to what they imagined, right? So it's really hard to say, you're out of your integrity for not doing this because it may not be like that for that person. That person might have a different sense of integrity than you, and so I just think that we again, it seems like the theme of this morning. I feel like I wish we could all just dial down our judgment a bit. Like everything that's happening is correct. But
Mhm.
please like don't make oh, I know what it is. There's no more nuance in what's happening out there. Like, it's either black or white. You're either horrible or you're a hero, like a hero or a zero. Like, there's it's complicated.
Mhm.
And so like I think that to just give people the benefit of the doubt that we're all doing the best we can from where we're standing, hopefully. Um, but it's been so much fun, especially in 2008 when we had that recession, and now um, because all the studios are shut down. I'm on a show called Goliath too right now, which we're
Mhm.
not shooting, obviously. Uh, but the voiceover world is still going. And so that's been my saving grace. And then also, I had 2 kids. So I was literally like nursing them and still working in the studio. I remember one time, like literally like holding my baby like this and then saying the lines at the same time.
Oh.
Like, it's been a beautiful world because honestly, I've never met one jerk the entire time I've been in the voiceover world. I don't know why that is. It just
Huh.
it attracts the most down to earth people that don't have like huge egos. It just is, and I can't really say that for the on screen part of my I really met some jerks, but it just doesn't. I think there's something about the voiceover world that doesn't allow that. Like you're kicked out if you're going to be like that. And so it's been really great to be able to keep working and stay afloat with the voiceover work. You know,
Well, that's great.
You've done it all. I mean, Broadway, movies, television shows, voiceover work. Is there something that you enjoy doing more?
I love mixing it up. I love doing something funny and then something really dramatic, like Supernatural. I got to kill someone. Like, I'm 5 feet tall. Like, no one ever lets me be a badass. That was super fun. And yet, and then there are other times when I'm just oh wait. Okay, good. I just want to make sure that he's going to hockey practice and his brother's supposed to take him. And I'm like, I hope his brother woke up. This is like this is the COVID thing, like same thing. I've been going to bed at like 3 a.m. and getting up at 10. I can't seem to switch the schedule back. But yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. What were we talking about?
What you gravitate towards more?
Oh, I like to mix it up. So I like to do a variety of different things, and I really miss live theater. I would love to do. I'm putting that out in the universe. I would love
Put
to
it out in the universe.
Well, it works for you.
it seems like it has in the past.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of live theater going on right now, but
No, I know.
next year, hopefully.
Yeah.
We miss our Broadway shows and our live theater for sure.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning.
Yes, thank you.
Oh
You've been an
gosh, I had so
inspiration.
much fun with you guys.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.